Hey, it's Matt. Welcome to another episode of Unbearable 73. This is my review of episode 3 of the live action Avatar The Last Airbender. First, a little note. You may see, if you're watching me only on YouTube, you may only see this video. You may not see the second video, like the review episode 2. YouTube has decided to block it, at least for until I'm appealing and all that. It's funny. I should have said to clip the show, but they claimed about 40 seconds was a violation. So first I was like, yeah, maybe I can kill it because it's a little minor point I was making in there. I was going to use the YouTube editor to delete it, and then in their editor they were like, no, well we suggest you deleting from 742 to the rest of the video. And then I said no, because that's not what you said with the copyright issue I was going to do. They said, and then the prompt was, if you don't delete all the suggested video here, we will still block it. And I'm like, fuck them. It's up on Rumble. I'm perfectly happy you guys view my stuff on Rumble. I'm not monetized. I will probably, I might eventually, when I hit 200 subs, put like a subscribe star up there or something like that, or activate my locals on Rumble type of thing. Anyway, let's get into this episode. I don't want to share my whine about my troubles, because nobody knows the troubles I know. So this is episode 3, Omashu. Now, obviously they're skipping chunks of episodes in terms of adaptation from the show, and the animation, which you have to do because there's way more episodes. But I think it would have felt better if they were gonna maul the Kyoshi Warrior storyline the way they did, writing wise, just the writing wise, not visual depiction or anything like that. The way they did, and murder Sokka's storyline. They were going to do that. They could have, from a writing point of view, delayed that to episode 4, done the Omashu storyline, which I think is basically a two-parter from what I can tell. I haven't watched episode 4 yet. Establish Sokka's new character, since he's not a misogynist jerk early on anymore, right? Because they basically give him a new character here, right? And that's what I'll lead into. So, before I do my little walkthrough, I'll start with the following. I'm okay with Uncle Iroh and Zuko so far. I got the impression that Zuko is struggling with the fatherhood issue, being rejected by his dad, having all his dad trained him to be a jerk like him. Uncle Iroh wants. We know from the storyline, Uncle Iroh is trying to make him a much better human being than his father ever was. There's complications. We know that in the storyline. I mean, spoilers, but it's been 10 years. Ozai has reasons for being the way he is. His father was even worse than he was. And his father basically wanted him to murder Zuko because he insulted Uncle Iroh. And because Uncle Iroh was the heir, and then that led to him to Ozai and his wife basically assassinating the previous Fire Lord so Ozai could ascend. Iroh was in a depression at the time and wanted away from the war, so he just sort of let it happen. It's a complicated story, which is fine. But the point is, they're complex characters, and I think we're getting a little bit of the complexity from the actor playing Zuko, showing he's troubled by stuff. Because that's early on. Zuko has two kind of modes early on, like in his portrayal in the anime, in the animated. He is focused. He's capable of great focus, but he's also troubled about every decision he makes. Because you get the impression he's trying to capture Aang, but you could see he's troubled by it because he constantly makes little decisions. We see that show he's troubled by the nature of how his father trained him or whatever. So we get quite a bit more of Zuko and Iroh in this show. See, in this episode. So let's do a little walkthrough here. As you were muted, and hopefully we'll try to skip. So here now, this is okay. Here's the preposterous part of this, okay? So this is a plot by people in the Fire Nation to assassinate Ozai, right? And you would think if you were going to assassinate someone, you would know who he is, who his family are, hint hint, who um who his closest advisors are, and so forth, right? And they get infiltrated. Uh, they'll show it in a second here. This is Princess Azula. Okay, so like how she's not wearing a cunning disguise. It's her face. There's no she. If she had maybe she had makeup on, it was a scar or an eye patch or something. There's no effort to hide it, and you would think this cadre of assassins would do some investigation, right? So one of them would say, "Wait a minute, could that be Princess Azula?" But you can't blame them because this is a writing problem. Okay, this is a horrible, horrible writing problem. They just wrote. They wanted to have. They wanted to make Princess Azula to give her villain cred, so they made her a spy who led them to their deaths. Right? They want and when they could have did that, the same thing. If Princess Azula shows up and kills them, or if she's in a disguise, or if one of Princess Azula's handmaidens who maybe they don't know the face of, anything. But this is stupid the way they depicted it. And of course, some chit chat back and forth, and all that, like, yeah, whatever, just murks them. And then now Katara has some good character growth. Again, I'm okay with her character. Of all the characters in this, through 3 episodes, I'm okay the most with her character. We see the character growth. We see the arc. She doesn't do too much stupid stuff as far as the writing goes. The actress is passably decent with the material she's been given. She emotes, and so I'm okay here, right? Um, do a little more skim through. Then the Amashu, fine. Aang's happy. All cool. That's good. There's a lot of good little individual snippets, right? But like little 5 to 20 second scenes or 1 minute scenes. But they put right in between. They put stupidity. So we already had a chunk of stupidity with the plot, and not recognizing Azula. Then there's this stupid scene they do where one of his shipmates, one of the guys on his ship, tells him some information he learned about the commander, and Zuko, even though he knows his uncle is a respected, famous general who knows his way around stuff, he decides not to act the way his uncle trained him. And apparently even his father didn't tell him you take the information when you can get it. No. He decides to criticize the guy who's giving him information because he's violating the chain of command. What a stupid way to write that. I don't remember if that occurred or not in the animation, but if it did, I can guarantee the writing of it was better. Infiltrate the city. The whole rebel subplot. Fine, we're okay there. Now this is an attempt. So this doesn't work. The way they filmed this scene, they're trying to show that Aang is an energetic child and playful, but I don't think the actor was. I don't know if this kid has the chops to play this role. Okay, sometimes you see you could see sometimes when he's doing close in stuff, he can get the playful part of Aang, and the serious part of Aang, the contemplative part. But when he does the physical action scenes, seems a little stiff, but that could be the way they're choreographing it. He's an airbender. He should flow. I mean, intuitive. And when they show the fight scene with Zuko, he does that. He flows in that fight. So I'm guessing the combat choreography gets the fighting, but the direction of motion, the director here is not giving him the proper instruction. Say, look, kid, you're a playful person. Even though you're intent on finding what you think is another airbender, you're playful. So you shouldn't be like. It's hard to explain. I'm trying to find the right adjective. It doesn't come across as Aang being energetic and playful. It comes across as being rude and clumsy. cabbage vendor. That's a trope. That's a trope from the show animation. That's the one funny. That is funny. The tooth every time you show the cabbage, that's funny. You know, we get the Mechanist arc. We see Aang being troubled. A whole bit good little bits there. Then we meet Azula and her cronies. Um, I think she's too short to play Princess Azula. I'm not saying Azula is some sort of Amazon, but I got the impression that she was less stocky and more. Um, I don't mean this in a creepy way. She was more like how a gymnast would look than um, how say a Taekwondo practitioner would look. Which is she's capable of martial arts and all that, but she was like the word is lithe. I think like lithe, like her. She was graceful looking and thin-ish, but not like this girl looks stout, but not in a bad way. Like she looks athletic, but there's another type of athletic body on a female where they look agile and graceful, as opposed to stout and powerful. Which is nothing wrong with that either. I'm just saying it's a different physiological shape. I think, like the girl next to her, the one who's the she looks more like I would picture Azuli. So she's more lithe, her body. Not that they're both equally girly, curvy, and all that. But the other girl looks like she's way more agile than this girl playing. But I'm just criticizing the casting, not the acting. She does get a little bit of the Azul eye glint, so we're okay there so far. Now we get here. This is the fight with the firebenders and the rebel assassin squad. Um, and they fight the firebender spies. Again, good kind of fight. No problem there. More, Uncle Iroh. Now, Uncle Iroh has a history with the fight with the Earth Nation. They could have established some of that here. So here now all of a sudden we and this is true from the animation. We get Sokka's mechanical slash instincts going here, and now since basically they could have established that more somehow, but I think they went way too. I mean, I know they're following a certain sequence, like basically they mauled his storyline. I don't blame the actor. The actor is doing a decent job, and he really has. But they've mauled his storyline, and they simped him out last episode. He's not as featured in this episode other than the big argument with him, Katara, and Aang later on. And then he and Katara saved the king of the Earth Nation. Now Zuko versus Aang. So this fight, okay. So I can't show out. This will get me nailed, but so I'm not gonna. So basically, the way they've established Aang at such a power level that he would destroy Zuko. Okay, in the animation, Aang was still learning how to airbend. He was a master of airbending in terms of the skill, but his power level was still that of a very powerful 8-year-old. So Zuko can actually match him with just the firebending, because Zuko had, as the benders get older, they grow into their powers. Aang just has a bigger curve. In other words, but he's got a long way to go to become as powerful as he is an adult, but he gets way more powerful. It's like if you want to go to anime, like how Naruto, he's ridiculously powered for a 12-year-old, but not very skilled. Whereas and most of Naruto's story arc prior to learning Sage Mode is learning to use the power he already has, just with more skill. Then he gets more power with Sage Mode and KCM and all that. And that's kind of similar to Aang in the animation. He has in that sense that he has power, but he's learned how to use what he has he's got to learn how to use what he's gaining as he grows older in the animation. Here, Aang is full on, like top level power, can mop the floor up with any one other person he's fighting, other than like a high powered fire bender, because of Sojin's comment. He's which means his other bending powers are equally as powerful. He just has no skill with them. Remember in the first episode they said that Aang was learning differently. He had so much power and had to learn to control it. So that means he has all the other powers at that level. He just can't control any of them. So this fight with Zuko, when Zuko couldn't use firebending at first, Aang should have literally just knocked him, ragdoll knocked him unconscious with the air, and that would have been it. Now, so they, for some reason though, Aang decides not to fight him with airbending for the most part, even though he doesn't have to hide his airbending so much, because airbenders aren't the enemy of the Earth Nation, whereas Zuko has to hide his firebending. So then you get into a martial arts fight. Now, here we get the age difference where the 16-year-old physically overwhelms the 8-year-old, okay, or 10-year-old, whatever Aang is right now. I think he's 10 or maybe 11, somewhere around there. Which makes sense. So you could see Aang fighting with some skill, but he's not able to overwhelm all the power of the older child. And then he uses airbending. For some reason, he uses airbending just to give him an edge. When he could end the fight instantly. This is bad writing. This to me seems like the comic choreographer was hampered by the bad writing. Now there's one nice little sequence when they get in these claws, right out of a Hong Kong action film, with them kind of using almost like a Jackie Chan style fight, or a Jet Li style fight, I should say, with the cloth bindings on each other and all. That's like 30 seconds, okay? And then Zuko kind of loses it when he finds out Aang has his journal and fire bends, and then they go on the run. Uncle Iroh sacrifices himself to be captured to let Zuko get out. Hopefully that will be the beginning of show Zuko's character arc growth. That Uncle Iroh did that for him, and he knew his own father wouldn't, type of thing. But this fight was badly written, right? And while that's going on, now this sequence with them getting to the top, I kind of dimly recall something like this occurring in the cartoon, but don't quote me on that. But I liked the sequence. I liked, it was how they used those transports. They would jump. I liked the visual, good special effects. That was okay with that. And then Katara's scene with I really dug this. She was and they made her earn that. It's important to remember. So there's been good writing for Katara for this episode, where there wasn't where they show her constantly practicing with that one waterbending skill, and then she uses that one skill to effect. That was a good story progression, okay? But they need to write that way for all the characters. Uncle Iroh had some good writing in this episode too. Even though last episode they made him look like a complete moron. This episode not so much. And so that's kind of where that stands. Like, I'm harping on the writing because you got it. Regardless of any woke stuff, which is present at points, the writing is what's nailing this. And I've seen in other reviews that's consistently saying that the fair reviews are that this is nowhere near as bad as M. Night Shyamalan's horrible movie, and it's not the woke fest people were afraid it was. It's just very average at best writing, despite the great sets, the great costumes, getting the bending right in combat and all that. The one failing of the bending and fighting is sometimes for the sake of the script, like I said last episode, with that commander deliberately pausing to allow Sokka to save Yuki. That's writing that destroys the combat scenes, so that's something that they hopefully could fix. I mean, through 3 episodes, if they get to the second season, which they probably will, they could literally improve the writing dramatically and save this with a second season. Okay? So, at least 2-3 episodes, this is savable. Okay? Doesn't mean it'll ever be great, but you can save it. Okay? I think I've whined on about enough about this. Anything else to say? And then Uncle Hero sacrifices himself. Get away, blah, 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 blah. So that's basically I don't need to go complex. I just point out some writing flaws. I gave you some things I liked. So of the main characters, Aang is hit or miss. In small close-up scenes where he's doing something that's on his that's not fighting, um, and if the writing is not hurting him, he's been okay. In larger scenes, he's written he's written as a plot device, not a character. Okay, I mean character or plot device, but he's written as if his story is, instead of making his storyline dictate the plot is dictating the storyline. If you get the difference. Who else? Sokka, better depiction this episode than the last two. Still, his character has been destroyed because of the changes. Katara, she's had moments in the first two episodes, but this episode was consistently good for that character. Uncle Iroh, finally, he's been growing on me all through the third one. So Zuko finally, Zuko needs some work, but this could be the point for. If the writers are smart, they will use this. Well, they're not. I've heard reports on the episodes coming up that they're not smart. Who else? So there are basically 6 characters out of 6 main, and Princess Azula. I'm a little worried that she's gonna. I mean, we gotta see if the actress can portray the crazy girl. That's because she's crazy. That's the thing about Azula. She's crazy. So, anyway, my name is Matt. This has been Unbearable 73 review of Avatar: The Last Airbender live action episode 3. So, presuming that YouTube doesn't block me, then you're watching this on YouTube before episode 2. Presuming they do block me, you're watching this on Rumble. Hopefully, have a great weekend and stay safe out there.